The information in this video is provided for informational and educational purposes only. Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Morale Monologue. My name is Michael Morale. Okay, so a couple of weeks ago I did a video where I talked about my desire to have a subcutaneous port surgically implanted in my body to make it easier if I go to the hospital and they have to give me an IV. Those of us with SMA typically have very small veins and they tend to roll like marbles, making it very difficult for a phlebotomist to get an IV in us. Now, they can typically find a vein if they need to take blood, but when you're putting an IV in, there's a sleeve that goes on the inside of the vein, and so they need a bigger vein than, say, the one that's on the top of your hand. So that's why they typically go through either your inner arm near the elbow, or they go through your bicep. Well, the problem is that when I have to go to the hospital, and as I get older, I find myself in the hospital 2 or 3 times a year, they want to put an IV in me because I'm usually either dehydrated or I need antibiotics. So to do this, they need to find a larger vein. And typically, phlebotomists have a very difficult time. Sometimes they'll stick me 8 or 10 times. So in my video a couple of weeks ago, I talked about that I was going to go talk to a general surgeon and get his ideas on the pros and cons of having a subcutaneous port put in. So I did that last week, and the doctor's name was Dr. Steve Sherling. He's just an outstanding general surgeon in the Irving area, and he was very understanding about my wants and needs. He asked me why I wanted to have a subcutaneous port implanted, and I told him, and he sat there and he listened to me. He didn't interrupt me because I tried to explain why I thought it would be beneficial. And after I finished, I thought to myself, okay, he's either going to agree with me or he's going to say he doesn't want to do the surgery, because let's face it, they typically don't do these on a volunteer basis. Somebody coming in and saying that they want one, typically it's a medical necessity. That's typically the only way that insurance will pay for it. So after I explained why I wanted to have a subcutaneous port implanted, he looked at me and he said, you know, I can see where a subcutaneous port would really help you. He goes, I know that your veins are very deep, because while I was explaining everything to me, he was looking at the veins in my hands and my arms. And he said, even a well-trained phlebotomist would have a difficult time finding a vein large enough to insert an IV in you. So he said, I can understand you don't want to be a phlebotomist pincushion, and that it would make life a lot easier. So we scheduled my surgery for October the 7th, which is on a Friday. So I'm doing this video on Sunday, September the 18th. So it'll be another 3 weeks before I go in for my surgery. But he explained what the surgery would entail. He said it's probably about an hour long, maybe even 30 minutes, depending on if he runs into a snag trying to get the vein in my neck to run the actual line from the port itself. He said typically they would like to try to go through what they call the subclavian vein, which is a large vein in between your collarbone and your neck. But he said about 1% of the time, they end up puncturing your lung. And he said, even though it only happens 1% of the time, it can cause a lot of problems. So he said instead, they're going to go through my jugular vein in my neck. And he took a stethoscope and listened to my jugular, and he said it sounds clear. So I'm going to go back into the hospital probably in about a week and a half, just to go through the pre-surgical steps. And they'll do a sonogram on my neck to make sure that that vein is clear, where they're going to be threading the line for the port. And so I'll keep everyone updated with regards to that. But he told me, he said, I can see where this subcutaneous port is going to be beneficial to you. That way, if I go to the hospital, not only will they be able to give me IVs and fluids very easily, but they'll also be able to withdraw blood. Now, he did say that some phlebotomists and some nurses don't like to use a port to withdraw blood from, because what they have to do is they have to flush the port with saline, and then they also have to flush the port with heparin, which is what they give you if you're in the hospital for an extended period of time for clots. So it's a little bit more arduous getting blood through your port because they have to do all those other steps to make sure that they clear that line. But it can be done. And he said, sometimes you have to get pretty tough with the nurses and say, you either get the blood from my port or you're not going to get the blood at all. And I've heard this from quite a few people. So, but the hospital that I go to, he said that he would put that on the orders if I have to go to the hospital, that they are to get blood through the port and also do the IVs through the port. So I've got a doctor that's basically going to bat for me, which is nice. So think about having a port put in if you're having problems getting an IV installed in you, if they have to jab you multiple times. Don't put up with that, okay? A port, you can leave those in for an extended period of time. It's nothing hanging out of your body. It's all subcutaneous, meaning under the skin. So talk to your doctor, your internist, or even your neurologist or your primary care physician, and let them know if you're interested in this so that they can refer you to a general surgeon where you can talk to them about it. Again, I'm not saying that you have to have a port put in. I'm not giving you any medical advice because we're not allowed to do that here at SMA News Today. But if it's something that's going to make your life easier, I thought these videos might be helpful to you. And I hope that you're finding these videos helpful as well. So I won't do another video regarding my subcutaneous port till after my surgery. And then I'll take a picture of where the subcutaneous port was put in. Again, I showed you in the last video that it's going to go just right above my left breastbone, I'm sorry, my right breastbone and my collarbone. But I'll show you, and I'm hoping that the doctor will take some pictures while he's doing the surgery. I go back to him this week just as a follow-up, and I'll ask him about that as well. So hopefully I'm going to be giving you some good information that maybe, just maybe, will be beneficial to you to make your life, if you have to go to the hospital, just a little bit easier. Hey, if you enjoyed this episode of the Rally Monologue, please give me a thumbs up, and also, please don't forget, subscribe to the SMA News Today YouTube channel as well. We would greatly appreciate it. You know, we at SMA News Today try to bring you the latest information on clinical trials and hopefully new treatments that are going to be coming around the corner. And I do think that we're going to probably hear something from Scholar Rock in the next couple of months. Maybe, hopefully, we'll learn a little bit more about apitegromab and maybe even a time frame as to when they think it may be released. But again, this is speculation on my part, but I'm hoping that we hear something soon. So always follow us, join the SMA forum, which is a great source of information. You just go out to SMA News Today and you click on the forums up on the top. You can create an ID and then talk to people with SMA, ask questions, answer questions, and just join a community of some really great people. Hey, we at SMA News Today hope all of you have had a great day. Do me a favor this upcoming week. Do something for yourself that's going to make you a better person. Until next time, I'll talk to you in a couple of weeks. Take care. Bye-bye.